Hey everybody, Carl here. Today we are back on the Lotus again. Getting some pretty decent work done on it. This is part 5. I'm gonna pull the front brake rotors off today, kind of check out a little bit of the front suspension, see what all needs to be replaced, and I'm pulling the front brakes off to prep to put the brake rotors on my brake lathe at work, clean up the hubs, check out the condition, clean, grease the wheel bearings, and get that all set and ready to roll, essentially. So I might include the rear brakes on this one, or that might be a separate one, but these front brakes are really easy to do. Rears, not so much. They're a little bit more difficult. So let's get started. It's real simple. So the fairly obvious part here is you need to get the wheel off. My Elan has the center locks. So basically got the little wrench for them, beat them off with a hammer. Boom, 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 done. And then the next part, which is going to be tricky to show you, is there's a cotter pin inside here for the wheel bearing nut. We'll pull that out. It's going to be a pretty greasy mess, but in there I need to pull that little cotter pin out, and then I'll show you once I'm going to try to hose this out so you can actually see what's going on in there a little bit better. Alright, I had to take the camera off the tripod because I can't get the tripod low enough to actually film this. So right there, bit of the cotter pin pulled over, so pull that back, try to straighten it out some. A little difficult working here because it's like 3 inches in from the exterior, but then we'll grab this side of the cotter pin. This actually all looks in pretty decent condition, so it comes out pretty easily. Next thing we're going to want to do is get on that nut with a 13/16 socket, then loosen her up. This one was a little bit underhand tight, so this wheel bearing is probably a little bit loose. Probably a little looser than I want it to be. So let's check out the bearing and see if there's any damage there. Quick note before I show you how to do this. This car did not have the brake calipers on it when I got it. So I did forget to include that as a step. But you're going to need to remove the brake caliper, or else the brake rotor's not going to come off. That's fairly obvious, but I figured I'd need to say it. Alright, now that that's off, this should all come out pretty easily. Sometimes they're a little bit tough, sometimes they're easy. Now the face of the rotor here inside, the outer bearing is going to be there, and a spacer. So that'll fall right out, apparently. So set those aside. I'm going to set them in some degreaser and clean them up, because they don't look too bad. They don't look like any water's gotten to them. Okay. Now here, there's a felt seal, so check that out, see if that's in decent condition. If it's not, replace it. If it is, might be reusable actually. At least I think it's felt. Some sort of fibrous rubber of some sort. Looks in generally decent condition. I'll probably try to reuse it. Stick that up here for now. Going to clean the stub shaft off, make sure there's no scoring on it or anything crazy. Literally just wipe it off with a rag. Alright, now the rotor is off. I'm going to flip this upside down. I have my inner bearing, my spacer, my castle nut in a bag. Then I'm going to take those, soak those in degreaser or hot tank at work. And then I'm just going to get all this stuff out of the way for the moment, because everything else is going to go in a hot tank as well. What we're going to do now, to get the inner bearing out, carefully pry up on this here, if you can see that lip. Carefully pry up in here and walk it around. What that is, that's the retainer, I should say, for that seal. So you don't want to twist it up, mess it up too bad. Just keep rotating and walking it out of the bore of the hub. And don't almost lose it behind your workbench. So literally sits in there like that to give that seal somewhere to ride. Bag that up. Inner bearing. Looks decent from here. Slap her in. Now, to get the rotor off the hub, because this is 2 pieces, you're gonna zip these 4 bolts out. Set them aside to be clean. Now the next part here, it's going to be easier if you scrape away some of this crud from this inner bore here. You'll be able to see where the brake rotor starts and the hub starts, or where the brake rotor stops and the hub begins, I should say. Cleaning it out will make it easier to get it out of there. So this next step is going to require my favorite tool, the knockometer. So I'm going to use a vise to support the rotor and give a few love taps around here. And just carefully walk it apart and separate the rotor from the wheel hub. So that's about as easy as that gets. Really wasn't stuck on there, so I assume the rotors were replaced probably while the previous owner was going through the brakes before he all but abandoned the project or had to put the project on hold. I'm gonna take these, throw them in the hot tank at work. That'll get most of this old paint off them and all the grease out of them. That's the biggest thing. Then I clean up the rust. Then I can tape off the areas where there's threads for the wheel adapter and close off each end that's going to have grease in it. And then I can paint it all nicely. And then I can, if the rotors spec out, I can clean them up, tape the faces off, hit them with a high temp paint in there, clean them up some, or just leave them raw. It doesn't matter to me too much. So yeah, that's about it for the front. The rear is going to be a little bit more difficult. It'll probably be their own separate video. So that's how you change the brake rotors on one of these. I'll go over installation when I'm ready to put them together. I need to make sure my wheel bearings are okay, or order replacements. I need to make sure I can reuse those seals. They look like they're reusable because they look like they're a felt wool type thing. They don't look like a rubber that's been dried out and cracked or anything like I was thinking they would be. So that is that for now. I'm going to do the rear brakes in a separate video because they're a little bit more in there, I should say. So thank you for watching. I am going to try to keep this momentum going on the car. So I hope you enjoyed watching. Don't forget to subscribe because next step is rear brake rotors removal. And then we'll install those, do whatever suspension stuff I need to do while I'm in here, figure out a few things with that, see if I can upgrade a few things, make it better, make it lighter. We'll see. Thanks for watching. Bye.